One of the biggest things that stands out to me about why Smash is different from a lot of other competitive fighting games is the fact that we have stages. Those stages make a significant difference when it comes to competitive play because platform layout, size, blast zone size, a lot of things make a huge difference for a lot of characters. So I really wanted to talk about what stages I think are good and bad in terms of the stage list. I'm not going to talk about obviously the ones that should be banned, like no contest, like 75M or Palutena's Temple or whatever that's called. So I'm going to talk about like the somewhat viable competitive stages that might be good, but I kind of want to give my opinion on it and what I think makes a good competitive stage. First off, my idea in terms of what makes a good competitive stage is the fact that you are mostly playing against your opponent with slight variations to the stage layout. To me, not every stage has to be flat with very standard platform layouts. You can have different platform layouts either on the outside of the stage, the inside of the stage, tri-plats, a single platform. You can have slants on the stage, such as let's say Yoshi's Island Brawl or Lilac Cruise. But also you can have incredible detractors to the stage, such as, water like there would be in Delfino Plaza, which I'll get to, like a long-standing wall, like walk-offs. Those are very anti-competitive because it causes a lot of camping or it causes a lot of blatant just positional advantage for kind of free, which is not exactly a good thing. So now that I've kind of discussed what I like about a stage, I just want to go through the stage list really quick of like all the maybe stages and kind of talk about what I think of them. Battlefield is very obviously a tournament legal stage. It has almost nothing that can go wrong. It is a flat stage with a tri-platform layout. It's just really good. There's nothing really wrong about the stage. The fact that every single stage has a Battlefield form is going to be amazing because we have so much good music. People have data mined that the Battlefield and Omega variants of stages have the exact same blast zone, so you can pretty much pick whatever you want and you're going to have exactly the same type of game, but now with different music and slightly different aesthetics. Speaking of Omega, FD is also obviously a tournament legal stage. It has nothing wrong with it. It's just kind of flat. I do not think it should be a starter stage because FD is one of the most polarizing stages in Smash Bros. History. Think about the dominance of characters such as Marth and Ice Climbers on Final Destination in Melee. Think about the dominance of Olimar, Falco, Ice Climbers in Brawl. Think about the dominance of, let's say, Diddy Kong in Smash 4 on FD. That stage is very polarizing and I honestly do not think it should be a starter, but it should clearly be legal with zero repercussions because it's an honest stage. Dreamland is a fine stage on its own, but it may be a little redundant in a rule set. It does have slightly different platform layout. It has Wispy, which can blow you left or right, which can change the way that ground interactions work. It has a walled edge as opposed to a slanted edge, so people are going to be able to get easier wall jumps on it, and you can obviously go under the stage really easily and bump your head, which can cause a lot of problems for a decent amount of people's recoveries. I think it's a fine stage on its own, and honestly, I think you should be able to pick it, in maybe place of Battlefield, worst comes to worst. Maybe it should be its own stage, but I don't really know exactly how dominant people on like tri-plats are going to be, because that was a big reason why Smash 4 had them all grouped, is that typically, like almost universally, characters that were good on Dreamland were also very good on Battlefield, so there was almost no point in having them separate. But in Smash Ultimate, we do not know how that works yet, so we're gonna have to kind of wait and see whether or not that stage is viable on its own. Star from the Metroid series is honestly kind of a toss-up for me. I think Hazard's On, it is a terrible stage because you can hit the sides and change the platform layout, you can split the stage in half, but Hazard's Off is a little bit of a different story. The ground is still kind of a bumpy layout, but you can still recover through the stage, which is something that was obvious in the Hazard's On mode. You cannot hit the side platforms, so they're always going to kind of remain at the same height. There's no acid, so there's a big difference between the Hazard's On and Hazard's Off. However, I'm still not sure how fit for competitive play this is. I've honestly not seen a lot of footage on it, and I know that, every other frame of reference was Hazard's On, so we can't exactly compare it to like Brawl or Melee. I think the layout is very unique compared to a lot of other tri-plat stages because this is obviously a tri-plat because it has a platform on the left, on the right, and then up, but the platform, one of them is like kind of slanted, one of them is just kind of flat, and then obviously the heights of all of them are very different. So I honestly think this could be a decent competitive stage, assuming that we're okay with like people going, like recovering through the stage, which I do not know what like the community's kind of perspective on that is yet, but honestly I like a little bit of variation for it, so I honestly think it is a fine stage for competitive play. Yoshi's Island Melee is drastically different from its Melee variation because one, Randall is way bigger for some reason on the sides. The stage in general is scaled up, kind of like what you had with Dreamland from 64 into Melee. It is a huge stage. The platforms are so much higher, the blast zones are so much bigger, and a big deterrent for Hazards on Yoshi's Melee is the fact that the Shy Guys that come drop fruit, which then heal you. And that honestly wouldn't be that big of a deal if it was only like the single Shy Guys, because that's 2 or 3% each way. But when the group of like 5 or 6 Shy Guys come in, all of them have fruit. So if you happen to hit your opponent away when they kind of spawn and like show up on the stage, you just run over over, hit all them, and then you get like 10 to 15% back, which is a significant amount of percent, so I'm not about the hazards on variation. Hazards off is a little bit of a different story because random disappears, the Shy Guys don't appear, and they don't drop fruit because they're not there, but the platform layout is still very drastically different from, let's say, Battlefield, because the platforms now extend the entire length of the stage as opposed to having like kind of a cutoff where like the main platform is kind of wider than the other platforms. I think it is significantly different from, let's say, Battlefield or even Dreamland, so I honestly think the stage should be treated as its own entity and not grouped into those. But again, we're starting to see the problem where, like I've already talked about, 5 stages and 3 of them are tri-plat stages, and let's go to the next one. Fountain of Dreams is my favorite stage in Smash Bros. Melee. I love the dynamic platforms of it. It sets it apart from every other stage in Melee, especially considering that has like 4 tri-plats out of 6 stages, so it's a significant difference to me. I honestly love the music on that stage, I love the aesthetics of that stage, but a big problem, hazards on and hazards off, which unfortunately to me is going to make it not a legal stage, at least at the current moment if they patch it, is the fact that the stage has frame drops. It is so pretty, and the reflection on the water causes the same issue that it does when you try to play Melee doubles, which is literally the game will just lag at random points if there's too much happening on the stage. So it's really unfortunate. I wish the stage could be legal, but frame drops are very bad. It's one thing I forgot to mention earlier when it came to like what I think about a stage, because it's so rare, but unfortunately Fountain of Dreams has had that problem twice now, and in my opinion it should not be legal because this even happens in singles, it's not only doubles like in Melee. Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 are both amazing stages, hazards off. Hazards on is a little bit of a different conversation because it can spawn walls and it can promote like defensive play because of the walls, so honestly hazards on not even considered. Let's talk about hazards off. I think Stadium 1 and 2 are personally probably the most neutral stages in all of Smash Bros. If you don't have transformations. I love the platform layout because you have a center stage, you have the edge of stages, then you have the platforms where you can kind of hide under them if you're a projectile character or try to get in or just have extended platform combos. I absolutely love the stage. Easily should be a starter in my opinion. You know, I don't know the differences exactly between Stadium 1 and 2. You know, if Stadium 1 has a worse lip, I think that we should just use Stadium 2 because it can mess with recoveries on Stadium 1. Although like people will be like, oh well, I actually use that when edge guarding. Like I know I actually would as Pikachu because people can't like angle on under the stage because they will actually get caught under the lip, but I understand that that's kind of like sometimes a little stupid, so I'm down to just use whichever one causes the least amount of problems, especially if it's a starter stage, so I'm down for Stadium 2 to be like the optimal choice. I haven't seen enough whether or not the stages are bigger or smaller compared to each other. I haven't really seen the platform heights be a little bit differently, like I think they're about the same. I don't know how big the stage is in general, so I don't know if there are significant enough differences to have both of them as opposed to just like aesthetic reasons, but I'm down for at least one of them to be a starter stage. Delfino Plaza, while having amazing music because it's a Mario stage, is unfortunately to me not a legal stage. They have water, they have walls, there are multiple transformations, the blast zones change throughout the stage, there's like so many like weird transformations, there's some with walk-offs, there's some with walk-offs and walls, there's one with walk-offs, walls, and water. It's just not a good stage, and I've seen a few rule sets with this on, like as a Brawl player that played on Delfino, as a Smash 4 player that played on Delfino, this stage is not fit for competitive play, especially considering how many stages we actually have when it comes to the competitive scene. We have so many now because of the hazards off toggle like that are possible, so I do not think this should be legal. WarioWare to me is one of the most welcome additions to the stage list. It has 4 platforms, 2 on each side of different lengths, you know, between the first and the second platform layout. There are constantly walls going down, so people are going to be able to get a lot of wall jump pressure. The stage is small, which in my opinion is fantastic because one thing that typically has not been in Smash games, at least since Melee, is the presence of a small stage. You typically have medium to large size stages, and WarioWare now is going to be a small stage with hazards off, obviously, because hazards on is a terrible stage that gives you health and invincibility and grow, and it's a really bad stage, but hazards off, in my opinion, is one of the best stages in Smash Ultimate. I know a lot of people are worried because like, oh, the blast zones are small, oh my god, people are gonna die so early, but I never really found a problem with why that's bad. Like, people played on Yoshi's Island Melee in Melee, and that's a really small stage, and it's one of the most hyped stages. It gives so much presence to the spectator, and in my opinion, with Yoshi's Island Melee now being bigger, we need the replacement of a small stage in this game, because like we have medium and large size stages throughout everything I've already talked about. Why are small stages so bad? I don't really understand that mindset for a lot of people, so in my opinion, WarioWare 100% fine, actually amazing. I love the concept of that stage, and you know, obviously if it's like too small, maybe we can consider it if people are dying at like 20 and 30. That's a little bit ridiculous, but if you're dying at like slightly earlier percents, maybe 10-15% earlier than you would normally, I think the stage is fantastic. And a big thing that I really like about it is the stage itself, like where you can stand and where the platforms are is a very small and narrow stage, so you're going to promote aggressive play, you're going to have a lot of interaction on that stage. You can't really run away and camp. So like, oh, but what if you're a projectile character? It's like, okay, ban it. There are always bans in a rule set, so I don't really understand that argument. Like, if you really don't like small stages, you can ban it out, and I think it's going to be a fantastic stage. It's a welcome addition to me on the stage list, and I really think people should actually play on it. Purgatory Fiona is my favorite stage in all of Smash Bros. History. I absolutely love that stage. I love the platform layout. I love the moving platform on the right side. I love the platforms that come out on the second transformation. I love the second transformation in general, but I do think that the flip is slightly not good enough for competitive play, so I do think the stage should be hazards off, unfortunately. And in hazards off, I still see people questioning the stage's legality because of the moving right platform, which can either cause like a weird camping platform that's higher than everything else, or it's going to have a really low platform that also has a wall attached to it, and people aren't a fan of that because people are typically not going to go down there. It just kind of causes not interaction for about 5 seconds every like 20 seconds or something like that. To me, that's not bad enough to cause the stage to be banned, but I understand people's skepticism of it, and I wouldn't be super surprised if people didn't have it on their stage list, but personally, I think the stage is amazing. I like the fact that there's a wall there for a little bit. You know, it's not too much, but you can get like some sick combos on it, or like a little bit of like kind of a skirmish down there. Think of like Pokemon Stadium Melee, but also without wall infinites for the most part, because we don't have chain grabs or grab releases or a lot of moves you'll just be able to tech in general. You don't have a move like Shine. A big buff that the stage has is actually the presence of a ledge on the right side, or actually 2 ledges in certain scenarios. In Brawl, the right side did not have a ledge at all, so if you got thrown off stage to the right and you had like a mediocre recovery, think like Wolf, or think of, let's say, Ivysaur, you were just kind of screwed, so characters with bad recoveries had to immediately ban the stage. But in Smash Bros. Ultimate, the right side has a ledge, and it even has 2 ledges when the platform rises up, because of the main kind of stage part, other than moving platform, also gains a ledge, and in my opinion, that makes the stage so much better than its Brawl variant, because you can't just like, lol, I'm gonna throw this character off and kill them like you could in Brawl. Now there's actually ways to recover, multiple ways to recover in every scenario when it comes to the stage. So in my opinion, again, it's a fine counter pick stage, but I understand if people are skeptical about it. Yoshi's Island Brawl is actually a very interesting stage in this game, hazards on, because the support ghost actually has ledges on it, and personally, I am not a fan of that. I like the fact that you can land on the platform, that you can kind of aim your recovery in certain distances to the point where it's like, oh, well, I'm falling in free fall and I'm dead, let me try to like get the support ghost and save me. I kind of like that dynamic, because there's not another stage like it that can kind of save you off stage other than transformation stages, but most of those should not really be legal. So I honestly like how that's a little bit different in terms of other stages, but I honestly do not like the fact that the support ghost has ledges, because now it's just so easy to just recover on it, as opposed to like you have to land on it, you have to use a recovery move and have lag on it that someone can kind of punish, similar to, let's say, Randall on Yoshi's Island, and I like that type of mechanic, but I do not like the ledges. So honestly, in my opinion, it should be hazards off, like not even considering the tilting platform or the Shy Guys that come down. The stage itself is honestly fantastic. I really like the fact that you can wall jump all the way down the ledge, similar to, let's say, WarioWare. I really like the long platform in the center, so there's constantly a double platform height. The fact that you can be on the ground or on the platform at all times, although people typically don't want to be on the platform because not a lot of characters have advantage, especially in Smash Ultimate when you're above characters, so I think people are going to mostly want to play on the flat ground, but I like how also the entire ground is slanted. It kind of changes how neutral works. People are going to slide with aerials and potentially get more cross-ups. You're going to have things be more safe and less safe depending on your height and what you're approaching or retreating and things like that, and I honestly like that dynamic in terms of a stage, so I honestly think the stage hazards off should at the very least be a counter pick.
What you say? That you only meant well, cause you did. What you say? That it's all for the best.
Castle Siege is such a cool layout in Hazards Off. I think Hazards On is pretty ridiculous to consider even that, because you have a slanting FD, you have 2 walk-ups and a giant part, and then you have the good part, which is the first transformation, and Hazards Off is only the first transformation, so I want to talk about all the goods and then, to me, a really bad negative. I love the layout, I love the 2 different ground heights, I love the different platform heights, I love the slant in the middle. Again, as I mentioned already, I really like slants and how they kind of change the dynamic of the game. I like how you can space under the slant to make moves slightly less punishable, or you know, you can be able to like throw land aerials on it, and so you won't be able to be punished as easily. I really like that in terms of a stage. However, one thing I saw which is so disheartening was it's the same thing that happened in Smash 4. On the right side, if you are both off stage and a little bit low, the foreground of the stage actually appears in the camera, and so you cannot see your characters if you are low trying to recover, or if you're trying to edgeguard someone. You literally cannot see your characters, and that is a huge problem when it comes to Smash Ultimate's Castle Siege. I hate that. I hate it so much. It was so annoying in Smash 4 when you had had to play on, let's say, For Glory, and now it's back in Hazards Off, and I don't know why they can just literally not have that part of the stage. There's no reason to have that foreground. It's so disheartening to me. The stage is so good, but that one problem is really detrimental to me, and honestly, to me, it might equal the fact that it should be banned, especially as someone that edgeguards a lot. So I really don't like how that camera messes up, and I wish it didn't, but unfortunately, you know, that's gonna be a big thing when it comes to the legality of the stage, so I don't know. Smashville is one of the most staple stages in Smash history. Between Brawl, Smash 4, and now Smash Ultimate, it will obviously be legal. That stage is absolutely fine, both Hazards On and Hazards Off, and I do not really know which should be legal or if even both should be legal because they are a bit different. In Hazards Off, Smashville, the platform stays directly in the center of the stage, which is very different from the constantly moving platform that goes off stage. When the platform is off stage, it does allow for either extended horizontal death combos or just even like camping, like let's think of Bayonetta. So I really don't know if that should be legal considering we can just kind of have Hazards Off, but at the same time it is very different from a lot of stages. I do like the moving platform aspect. I do love the fact that you can have a platform literally anywhere and it can change how combos work. It's very dynamic. Think of, let's say, what I liked about Fountain of Dreams. Unfortunately ripped that stage. I don't know. I think honestly both should be legal individually and separately because in my opinion they're drastically different. The moving platform is way different from having a platform in the center, so maybe Smashville, especially with the good music now, it's not going to be as great to just constantly be playing on that stage because it was it was probably the best stage in Smash 4, and in my opinion it wasn't even that good for the metagame, but I think it is absolutely fine both Hazards On and Hazards Off in Smash Ultimate, so I kind of want to just put that out there as I think both should be legal and separate. I do not think they are the same stage at all, Hazards On or Hazards Off, and they're both very good. Talon City is honestly one of the stages that I'm the most conflicted about in terms of whether it should be Hazards On and Hazards Off. I do not think it is drastically different enough in both of those variants to kind of have both of them be legal at the same time, similar to, let's say, what I just talked about with Smashville. But thinking about the stage, I do not know which is better. People have confirmed that if you are on the right platform on Hazards Off, like the top plats, and they drift away, or even any platform and they drift away, you still will get stretchered off of the stage, which was one thing that people were really theorizing about the Hazards Off variant. It still switches from the tri-plat layout into the double platform layout, and the platforms are also on the outside in the second variation, so I do not know if that's better than moving platforms. I don't know if the static center platform on the first transformation is better than the moving one, like in Hazards Off, or On rather, so it's kind of weird conflicting for me. I do not honestly know enough about this to make my call on it personally. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick Hazards On because I like the moving platform, and the fact that you still get stretchered, I don't know, I'm personally not about that. The Pokemon stage Unova is actually a fantastic stage in my opinion, but I do not know how much of a difference it is compared to Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. They still have the kind of like fourth in double platform layout, and I know it has walls on both sides, so it is a little bit different in terms of recovery, but if anything, I feel like it should be grouped for it for someone that wants walls for either recovery or edgeguarding purposes. I do not think it should be its own legal stage. I think if anything, it should be grouped with, you know, whichever stadium is legal, or if both stadiums are legal, it should be in that kind of context in terms of you can counterpick it or you can ban all of them at the same time. So I'm not exactly sure, you know, all the differences. This might change. I haven't really seen that much footage on it, but I honestly do think the stage is a fantastic stage in and of itself. It should obviously be legal in some capacity, like you should be able to just pick it, similar to how you can pick like Omegas when it comes, like a walled Omega instead of FD, or like a different battlefield variant. Like I think that's personally fine, but I do not think it should be its own like pickable legal stage while also having to ban out Stadium 1 or Stadium 2. Kalos Pokemon League, on the other hand, or Kalos, because I don't want to get reamed for saying that wrong, I just don't know how, is actually a fantastic stage. I really like the Hazards Off. Obviously, it is constantly walled, it has platforms on the outside for the entire duration of it, and I like that that platform layout is different compared to, let's say, a tri-plat or even the stadiums, because like, yeah, you might be able to camp on it, but I do not know how strong platform camping is in this game in general, and the fact that you can't go from that platform to a top platform means that people can just pressure you constantly on those platforms. I like how it aids a little bit in terms of horizontal combos. Like, it's not like a Smashville where the platform leads you almost all the way to the blast zone, so it's not going to be ridiculous, but it still can lead to more combos, longer follow-ups, and I'm really a fan of that. It doesn't have the same issues of, let's say, Town and City, where the platforms will never stretch you out, so you can't just accidentally get a death combo, you can't accidentally get put on that miss attack and then die because it stretchers. So I think the side platforms are a bit different in terms of that. You know, honestly, like thinking about it, it is something that makes me want to play Hazards on Town and City more, so that layout and this layout are honestly different, because honestly this stage is fantastic. I do not think it should be grouped with anything. It should be its own stage. I love the fact that there are so many bi-platform layouts. It is so good. It's one of my favorite layouts. I mentioned how much I love you know, Pokemon Stadium 1 and Pokemon Stadium 2. I love Unova. I love this stage. They are just absolutely fantastic, and I think they should be legal, or at least Kalos should be legal separately from the ones I just mentioned. People have been talking about Arena Ferox and Gamer as potential legal stages, and I want to tell you I am 100%, a million percent against that. I do not think ceilings should be legal in any capacity unless it is under the stage. I do not like the fact that people will elongate their lives for so long in terms of like vertical killers, like, you know, if you have a vertical kill throw like Mewtwo, or like if you just have like combos, the fact that you can get interrupted by the ceiling and you can kind of fall down, you can elongate, you know, how long you live, you can kind of stop combos because of teching. I really am not a fan of that. Regardless of how good the rest of the layout is, I think that having a ceiling is just not good. I think it is very detrimental to competitive play. I am not a fan of it, so I do not think these stages should be legal at all. And really quick, I just want to mention I am aware of stages like, let's say, Woohoo Island's Hazards Off or Skyloft Hazards Off, but I do not have enough information to have an opinion on them. I do not know if, you know, the layouts are consistent on Skyloft. I don't know how big the layout is on Woohoo, or I actually do know how big it is, but it's absolutely huge. I don't know how much it alters gameplay in terms of the fact that it's that big, so I think, like, if anything, it should be testable, but I do not, like, my gut opinion is like it's way too big, so I should kind of not really be a fan of it. But at the same time, if I'm gonna be like, oh well, we should have WarioWare because it's tiny, then I think we should also give chance to the bigger stages in terms of Woohoo Island or even Skyloft. So I think those stages honestly could be fine, but I'm skeptical, but I want to test them. And yeah, that's going to be about it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. Leave down in the comments below what other ultimate content you want me to see, and don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. And as always, social media, Panda, and partner stuff is down below, and I will see you all next time.